student attendant with NSD, Ms. Desiderio, graduated from Sweetwater High School in National City. Welcome.
We understand that we had a long day, and we're excited to be covering.
Thank you.
Guys, let me alone.
But if they say we might give them a fine.
A raffle or something. I know how you guys do it.
We will now move on to public communication. Provide the public with an opportunity to address the board regarding items on the agenda or other topics. Anyone wishing to address the board shall submit a request for all communications card. Cards are available near the entrance to the boardroom and are to be submitted to the recording secretary. A member of the public who wishes to address the board on any such matters limited to 3 minutes for one matter up to a maximum of 5 minutes for all closed and open session matters. There shall be a limit of 20 minutes for any matter unless such time limit is waived by the majority vote of the board. Members of the public may not yield any time to other speakers. No board action can be taken. Do we have any? We have no.
Hi.
We have a vote. Going down to agenda number 7, accept the agenda. Approve. Accept the agenda. But don't I read it?
Second.
Do we have a vote to accept the agenda? Motion made by Ms. Gates, second by,
I made a motion to approve the agenda.
oh, excuse me. Maria Betancourt Castaneda made a motion to approve the agenda and Ms. Gates seconded. Thank you. Please vote.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Approve the consent agenda routine items of business. All items under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be acted upon in one set action by the board. It is understood that the superintendent has recommended approval for these items. There will be no discussions prior to that time the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific terms to be discussed and removed to the consent agenda. All items approved by the board will be deemed considered in full and adopted as recommended.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Ms. I was going to say just her first name.
Betancourt Castaneda.
Maria Betancourt Castaneda. I'm sorry. What was it? Second by Ms. Cindy Lopez. Please vote.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. General sections, general functions. Approve the quarterly report to the San Diego County Office of Education.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Ms. Lopez, second by Ms. Gates. Please vote. Any discussion? No discussion. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Brady.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring this to the board's attention. Typically, we put our quarterly report for our Williams in consent when it's 0. If you look at the attachment, we have had 0 complaints. However, we did have a parent that submitted a complaint as a UCP inadvertently, and when she spoke with Charlene, she realized it was the wrong type of complaint. We just wanted to acknowledge that we did, if somebody were to search our emails, have a complaint that was listed as a UCP But in speaking with a parent, it was switched to a different type of a complaint and then investigated from there. So it is still 0.
Ms. Gates?
I know a while back we had done a presentation on types of complaints. Would you remind people where they can find the list? I know that it's on the website, but if you could do a quick reminder, I think that would be good for us all. Thank you.
Right now, or? Yes. Okay, yes, sure. So we have different types of complaints. A UCP is typically for a facility, if a facility is not in good use, if we have a vacancy with an unqualified staff member in a position, or we have insufficient instructional materials in any class. That would be listed as a uniform complaint. We also have complaints that are just more general in nature, like a complaint against an employee. That would be found in our board policy, or they could come to our human resource department and we have a form that they could fill out for a complaint against an employee. In our board policy, all complaints should start at the lowest level possible and then work their way up. So if you're a parent at a school site, you had a complaint, you would start with your teacher. From there, if it was about the teacher, or if the teacher couldn't help you with that, or it was a bigger something that wouldn't be in the purview of the teacher, then you would start with the principal. From there, if it's instructional in nature, it would go to our instructional services department to be investigated. If it's about another employee, human resources, or about a facility that didn't necessarily fall in the UCP, it could go to Dr. Cochran's department, or anything transportation, child nutrition services, or that related. If it's we could have a Title IX type of a complaint, and that's another type of complaint we could get. That might be gender related. It could be that we have a sexual harassment complaint. All of those types of complaints would start with human resources, and then we would take it from there. Did I forget any types of complaints that you can think of?
Thank you. I know it's a little addition.
No, that's okay. If it is a complaint about the superintendent, it would be submitted directly to the board, because the board is the direct supervisor for the superintendent. That is another type of complaint.
I just want to make sure that people know we do have that process in place. So if you bring up something like complaints, know that there's a process.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. So in this case, it does say 0, typically would be in consent, but because we received one that noted UCP, we wanted to explain it. It was more of a timeline concern than it was not related to these 3 issues.
Mr. Cochran? You put your light on?
I didn't, I haven't touched it at all.
Oh,
Thank you.
touched it.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Oh. It's Trustee Sarmiento's, it's just not turning.
No, she's not here, so there you go. Any other comments, any other questions, anything? Okay. Please vote.
And passes unanimously.
Thank you. Educational Services, approved CT 4363, the Class Dojo Communication Technology Platform. Approval of this contract will allow the district access to Class Dojo Communications Technology and Platform. Please vote.
Motion
I
to
mean, do I
approve,
have a
motion to approve the discussion, please?
motion to approve by Ms.
Second.
and second by Cindy Lopez? Any discussion?
I just want to ask, what are we going to eliminate in the place of Class Dojo?
Thanks, trustee Bettencourt Castaneda. So Ed Services did quite a bit of work with evaluating Class Dojo and with regard to whether or not it would meet our needs, meet all of the needs that we have. I know that at one time it certainly would not have sufficed. You know, platforms continue to grow and have new features and things like that. So Dr. Filia has conducted both an assessment of whether or not it would meet our needs, as well as received some feedback from some of our interest holders in the community. And so we're going to move forward with Class Dojo. We have alerted some of our other vendors that we're not going to move forward. This is typically the time of the year when we will begin to notice contracts that we're not going to continue with them. And we have done that with two different groups already, both Parent Square and Talking Points. We've notified that we're going to be ending the contract. One on June 30th, that's Parent Square, and then another one toward a little bit of the middle of next year, because we want to make sure that the transition's okay and that we always have a way to communicate with our parents. So we want to give us a little bit of time for transition to make sure that we aren't at any point without the communication tools that we need. Yeah.
And is this something that you can give us a presentation on? I know that in the past we've had Class Dojo and there was some concern in regards to some of the, the security, the advertisement and so on. Can we have them come or somebody present to the board so that way we can have some, to ensure that we have everything all squared away? Because I know that there's been updates and changes since we last terminated service with them. And I've heard a lot of good things about how Class Dojo can support our families, our teachers and staff. Can you bring them or have a presentation to the board so that way we can have that information brought forward to us?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Please hold. Michelle, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Something that I know that has been a larger issue under discussion is the use of personal phones because Class Dojo can be an app. So I would like to encourage discussion with our labor partners on how on what parameters should be involved because people have been using Class Dojo, but we are also learning more, and all of us have more accountability, more social media, more apps, all of that kind of thing. What should our parameters be? What wisdom should we be sharing? What insight does NCETA or our CSEA labor partners, what insight do they have into using these as well for back to the safety, back to the security of information, all of that. I'd just like to encourage the conversations, that's all.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Do I have a motion? Motion by
Bettencourt Castaneda.
Bettencourt Castaneda, second by Cindy Lopez. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Going down to 11, Human Resources. Adopt Resolution 2526.41 in recognition of Employee Appreciation Month. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Motion by Ms. Lopez, second by Ms. Gates. Did you make the motion? Oh, excuse me. Maria Bettencourt Castaneda made the motion, second by Ms. Gates. Thank you. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Sorry, Ms. Brady?
Yes, I just wanted to bring to the board's attention for this item that this is a little different than how we've done it in the past. In the past, we've had designated weeks for certificated, classified, confidential supervisory, and administrators. And this year, our theme is in sync. And so what we heard from our different groups is sometimes on the first week, it gets a little overgeneralized that this is when the gift arrives from the staff, from the board, from executive cabinet, that the certificated staff will get their gift, but the classified staff will have to wait. Or the cake comes and this is the certificated cake or the classified cake. And so this year we're trying something different, that we're taking the whole month to acknowledge all of our employees together and to celebrate together. So when we send the gift that we have for you, and I'll give it to you during our closing comments, that we will be celebrating all of our employees together. When our parents come out and they do their luncheons and celebrations and decorations at the school sites, that they're celebrating all of our employees together. When we send the cake will come in celebration of the unity of our staff together. And so we're going to see how it goes this year. We'll get some feedback and we'll let you know. But because of our theme and some of the feedback, we thought we would ask the board to try this. So thank you for voting unanimously for that.
Thank you, Ms. Brady. Going down to business services. Presentation and approval of the National School District Audit Report and its findings. Dr. Robert Croft.
Yes, thank you, Trustee Avalos. So tonight, we are going to present in succession 3 different audit reports. The first being our district audit report. The second being, of course, our bond Measure HH audit report. And the third being the audit report for Integrity Charter School. We have tonight with us Kevin Sproul from Wilkinson Hadley King & Co. And he will be sharing their audit as well as any findings and their overall opinion.
Hello, everybody. I'm not sure if you were going to put it on here and have me go through it.
It's on the tab. The exhibits, yeah.
Is it on one of the tabs?
Yeah, it's on the browser. Yeah.
Browser. Chrome?
Yeah, in the corner, next to the trash can.
Gotcha.
So there's this PDFs.
Yep. Perfect. Thanks so much. Okay, so typically the way that I do my presentations is I go through the different sections of the audit report, just briefly kind of say what they do in terms of their function of the report, and then highlight any specific things that I want to make sure the board understands about the audit, which might be a little bit different, or I want to make sure is highlighted this year. So in the audit report, the first thing that we always see is the independent auditor's report letter. One thing that you'll notice this year is the emphasis of matter. We did have a GASB pronouncement 101, which changed the way that the compensated absences is accounted for now within the financial statements. Before, only the accrued absences for vacation were accounted for on the government-wide financial statements. Now, sick time is also accounted for there. So it actually makes kind of a big difference on the government-wide for some districts. And I'll show you that change as we get to it. But as far as the opinion, it was unmodified for National School District, which is the type of opinion that you want. So that's the first letter. Followed by that first letter is always the management discussion and analysis, and this is an unaudited section. It summarizes the basic government-wide financial statements, and then just has some like little blurbs about the district and just the financials from the district's point of view. But following the MD&A, which is the acronym for it, are the basic financial statements. And they come in a couple different sections. So you notice me saying government-wide financial statements, and that's because school districts operate naturally under what's called a modified accrual accounting system. The capital assets, long-term debt, items like those are not on the accounting system naturally. And so they have to go through what's called a conversion from modified accrual to full accrual. And so what you see before you is the statement of net position. This is the government-wide statement of net position where that conversion has happened. So we've brought in those capital assets and we've brought in that debt. And so this is the full picture. And so this is the one where sometimes boards go, what? Because this one sometimes has that negative net position that isn't actually where the district stands. This is when you bring in the GASB pronouncements for pension and now the GASB pronouncement for compensated absences. So this is when they say, you have to do this for accounting. So just for your information, this is where those conversion entries come from. And following is the government-wide statement of activities. Then we have the governmental funds. This is what Dr. Cochran deals with all year long. So this is where he lives, in the governmental funds. And so you'll see the fund balance in the governmental funds is much healthier than it looks in the government-wide fund balance. And something that helps boards of education to actually kind of navigate these are these reconciliation pages. And so we just saw the governmental balance sheet, and so right after that is the reconciliation between the governmental funds and the government-wide statement of net position. So it takes the governmental fund net position, and then it shows you all those different pieces of the conversion entry that we went through to get to that final government-wide net position. So you'll see the capital assets, the lease assets, you'll see all the different debt pieces, deferred outflows, deferred inflows, until you get to that final government-wide statement of net position. So that's why you'll see a lot of those different pieces that are there for accounting purposes, but not necessarily the day-to-day accounting purposes. Following that is the statement of revenues for the governmental funds. And these are broken out, both the balance sheet and the statement of revenues and expenses, by the major funds, and then all of the non-major funds are combined into one column. And then later in the audit report, those are split out so that you can dive more in depth into those if you'd like. And then once again, just like with the balance sheet, there is a reconciliation between the government-wide and the governmental, so you can see what changes occurred during that conversion entry process. Following the basic financial statements are the notes to the financial statements. Now, I always make a joke here. If you have trouble sleeping, print out the audit report, flip to section A, keep it next to your bed at night, and you'll be asleep within 5 minutes. However, it's still really important stuff, and it serves two major purposes. The first part of this summary of significant accounting policies, all of these are the main policies that the district operates under. So how you handle leases, how you handle capital assets, how you handle, those compensated absences like we talked about. All of those things are summarized in this section A. So it is really important information. It's just not exciting at all. But the second part is actually helpful for those trying to dig down into the financial statements more and more. So we're going to go, actually, I will show you this one thing. So on page 32 and 33, a table of what accounting pronouncements happened during this year, which is the 24-25 year. And then if there were any that had an effect on the district, we summarize those down below. And so I want to show this one right here at the bottom of page 33 is the GASB 101 effect that it had. And so you'll see in this small table, the GASB 101 implementation had a negative $2 million effect on the government-wide statement of net position, the beginning balance. So those sick leave balances are pretty big. And that's after taking into account a certain formula that that's not the sick leave balance, that's a formulaic version of the sick leave balances. So it's,
Ms. Gates?
I'm sorry, can you help me with that one?
Yeah.
So is this GASB 101 sick leave balance, is this like, so I've been teaching, I have 62 days of sick leave.
yes,
So it's what that sick leave is worth?
yes.
Or are you
It's what
talking
that
about
sick
what I
leave is-
actually took?
It's what that sick leave is worth,
If I took, like, what I have sitting
what the
out there
district
waiting.
would have to pay for all of that.
Thank
Because
you.
it's not just what it's worth to you, it's also the benefits and everything and the PERS and STIRS that the district would be responsible for
So this,
if you took it.
this is that pot that's waiting there that we
Exactly.
actually owe to employees that they accrue.
But the thing
That's
is,
how-
and that is one of the reasons why GASB 101 exists now, because eventually some of these things will be due. When an employee retires,
Okay.
now some of it employees might use to roll into STIRS and use some of it to be like, no, I'm gonna buy STIRS credit, I'm not gonna use all this, but eventually it will be due. And so that's why they wanted to implement GASB 101. Now, the formula for figuring out the number, it's based on a percentage that's used over the last several years. And so it's not just a flat, this is your sick leave balance. It has to do with how much is used each year over year, and if it's going up, if it's going down. So there are some methods that go into the calculation as well. And then this is the beginning balance adjustment. And so it won't be like this huge number of change every single year going forward. This is what it was to get it implemented year one.
Thank you for that. I'm
No
sorry
problem.
to interrupt, but,
How dare.
well, I did raise my hand.
But going forward, starting with letter D and onward, what you'll see are notes such as cash and investments and accounts receivable and accounts payable, where it takes those individual line items that you saw on the governmental balance sheet, and it will break those amounts into a more detailed note, so that if you want to see what makes up the accounts receivable balances in a more detailed section, you can see how much special education was still due, how much Title I was still due. And so you have those for a lot of those balances on the governmental balance sheet. And similar, not just the governmental balance sheet, but some of those government-wide amounts that we did with the conversion entries, you can see what those debt pieces are made up of. You can see payment schedules for the different bonds. You can see the leases, lease payables, and then you can also see with the compensated absences, there's a new table there. So you can see where the vacation liability was at the beginning of the year, and then where that sick liability is that we input into the beginning of the year, and the change in that and where it is at the end of the year. And so you can see some of those pieces and where they sit. After that, there's 20 pages on the pension plan if you're really interested to dig into how CalSTRS and CalPERS calculate their different numbers. Once again, that is just like Section A, that will work as well as a Xanax to put you to sleep. Following all of the notes to the financial statements, right at the end, it's very small this year, some years it's much bigger, is the upcoming accounting guidance, which are pronouncements in GASB that will affect upcoming years. So those are things that we get to look forward to. Hooray! Following the notes to the financial statements, we have the required supplementary information. The first schedule being the budgetary comparison schedule. Every fund that is a major fund within the funds 1 through 20 if it's a major fund, it has to have a budgetary comparison schedule in the required supplementary information. And that compares the original final budgets to the actual numbers. Following the budgetary comparison schedule, we have for both the pension and for the OPEB a 10-year comparison schedule. These schedules are calculated based directly on numbers from the CalSTRS and CalPERS audit reports and their OPI reports. So these ones are fully based on reports that come from CalSTRS and CalPERS. But they are required for us to put into the audit report. After the required supplementary information are the combining statements. So you heard me mention how all of the non-major funds are combined into one column. So here is the section of the audit report where that one column is exploded into a full page for the balance sheet and then a full page for the statement of activities. And so this is where you can then go to see exactly what each of those non-major funds equates to for its own small balance sheet, its own small statement of activities. Now, I do want to point out a new thing that we had to start doing this year, specifically for the statement of activities. It's called the GHOST column. And so you'll see these two columns for the building fund and the capital facilities fund. And so now you're going to start seeing this either on the governmental fund statement of activities or here on the combining statement of activities if a previously major fund becomes non-major or a previously non-major fund becomes major. The state is now requiring that that fund still be represented on the prior year schedule where it existed. And you'll notice down at the bottom, it says that what the fund balance as previously stated, and then the change in fund balance due to it being non-major to major. So that's called a GHOST column. Just so that you know, this is a brand new thing this year. So if you've looked at financial statements before, you're like, what the crap is that? GHOST column. You can amaze your friends with that knowledge now. Other supplementary information, all of these schedules are in the audit reports because of the audit guide that is given to us by the State Controller's Office. So we have the schedule of average daily attendance, instructional time, financial trends and analysis. All of these schedules are in every audit report for every school district in the state. And it's all because the State Controller's Office loves us auditors so much and they want us to do so many things for them. And so we put all of these schedules together in this section. And many of them, they don't change too much as far as form or function year over year. And they just go in this specific section. We've got the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. This has to do with specifically the expenditures of federal awards, and then we have the notes to the CFA. And both of these only are in an audit report if over $750,000 were spent in federal expenditures. And starting this year, it's if $1 million were spent in federal expenditures. That switches this year. This used to be in supplementary information, but is now in its own little special section called Other Information, and it is the organization structure. You all get to be special. You get your own little place in the audit report. Following Other Information, we have the 3 letters that go in there. The first one is the Government Auditing Standards, or GAS letter, where we report on the internal control of the audit, followed by the Uniform Guidance letter. And this is where we actually have an opinion on a program. And so, and all of the opinions and everything, I'm gonna summarize on the Statement of Findings and Question Costs. And the State Compliance letter is the final letter. And you'll notice on the State Compliance letter, these are all of the sections in the audit guide for 24-25. And we have yes, no's, or NA's based on whether or not we audited them. And then we summarize all of them here. And so for the financial statements, that was the very first letter that we saw, and that was an unmodified audit opinion. And then for federal awards, that was the second letter in this last part. That was an unmodified audit opinion. And then on this last page, that was the last letter that we saw, the state award, and that was also an unmodified audit opinion. So those are all the opinions that you want. We were able to have no findings this year. In the previous year, there were 2 that we were able to say were both implemented, and that's exactly what we wanted to see. So that was it for the district. And are there any other questions?
Mrs. Brady?
Yes, in the other information section.
Okay.
The one we all have our special place.
Yeah.
I noticed that it's reflective of staff and roles of the board from the prior year. That's intentional because it's an audit of a
24-25.
24-25. Okay, because it does say current year, current fiscal year, so it's a little bit confusing. It's current fiscal year that you were auditing,
That's correct.
and that's why it's like that. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Totally.
So not everybody has a special place yet, but you will at the next audit.
We're currently in that audit in 25-26.
Any other questions? No other questions? No? Then we'll go on and I have a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
Motion by Michelle Gates, trustee Gates, second by
Second.
trustee Lopez. Any discussion? If not, please vote.
And it has the same numbers.
Going down to presentation B, approval of the National School District Measure HH Bond Audit Report Exhibit. Do I have a motion? Right? Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. This one will be much quicker because a lot of the sections are very, very similar. The main thing is I'm going to point out any differences between this and the big audit report that we just did. Because one of the biggest things is Fund 21 in the big audit report that we just did. That's basically what this audit report is, just for the measure HH bond. And so that's one of the big things is when we do the big audit, we're able to also pinpoint a lot of testing for the bond. And then do specific testing that's only for the bond so that we can then write this report. Okay, so you will notice, hey, look, it's an independent audit report letter. We've never seen one of these. We were able to do an unmodified opinion for the bond. Now, one thing that is different that you'll notice is a going concern. Those will be in any bond letter if all of the measure has been issued. So until all the funds have been spent and you don't have to do any more audit reports, you'll still see a going concern every year as long as you have to do an audit report. So just an FYI. After that is also a management discussion and analysis, just like in the district. And we also have financial statements. These ones are much smaller. We don't have to do the government-wide versus governmental. It's just the measure HH financial statements. So we're just looking at the balance sheet. We're just looking at the statement of revenues and expenditures. Super, super simple. Then we have the notes to the financial statements. Once again, very straightforward since we already looked at the district one. We do have minimized notes since we don't have as many things We have interest receivable and we have vendors payable. We don't have a whole huge list of accounts receivable. So, bond reports can sometimes be a lot more straightforward. We do list the different debt pieces that are involved. And then I do want to point out, we do have the bond project list that we have here. But then the biggest thing is this. Instead of having the state compliance letter, the uniform guidance opinion letter, all those, with bonds, we have a report on performance, because the bond audit is a performance audit. There are specific things that we're supposed to look at and that we're supposed to test, and then we report on those things. And so that's the difference between what the full district independent audit is and what the bond audit is. And there is an audit guide put out by the state that we follow as far as how we perform the bond audit, but everyone performs it the same way as far as what items we're supposed to look at. And so within this letter, we have the different things that we looked at for Measure HH, and then the results of the procedures performed. And similar to the district, we have the summary. And so for the financial statements, we had unmodified, and then for the performance audit, we also had unmodified with no audit findings. So that's exactly what you want to see. Nothing out of the ordinary. In the previous year, we did have vacancies on the committee, but those are able to be filled, and which, trust me, right now, that is not always an easy task. So, yay. But any questions on the bond audit? Like I said, much more straightforward.
Ms. Gates?
I'm not sure it's a you question. I know that we have the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee.
Yes.
So, since we're speaking of bond, and that was your last point. So we still are full up and able to have the meeting, the regular meetings. How's that all going? Quickly.
It's going well. 4 scheduled meetings a year, all membership full.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And what are required meetings every year?
I believe that there is a Prop 39 requirement to have at least 1 meeting a year. There's a San Diego Taxpayers Association requirement to have 4 meetings a year. That's not a statutory requirement, but we do have 4.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And attendance has been good?
Attendance has been good. There was a day that we did not have quorum and rescheduled the meeting, but that was really just one of our meetings, and it was after the holidays, so we somewhat blamed the holidays on that one. Yeah, attendance has been good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ms. Gates makes a motion to approve. Ms. Maria Betancourt Castaneda seconds the motion. Any discussion? If not, please vote.
And passes unanimously.
Going down to item C, presentation of Blue Island Charity Charter School Audit Report and its findings, Exhibit B.
Oh, hi, my name's Kevin. So this is a charter school audit report. And so in some ways, it's more similar to the school district than a bond audit, but with a non-profit audit report, there are some differences because the school district audit reports report under GASB pronouncements, and nonprofit charter schools in California report under FASB. So there are going to be some differences, but you're going to notice a lot of similarities. But one of the big things is charter schools operate under full accrual the whole time. So there's no conversion needed. So there's no government-wide versus governmental. They just have financial statements. And there's no management discussion and analysis in a charter school audit report. So we go from the opinion letter. So we were able to do an unmodified audit opinion for integrity in this report. And we go straight from that into the financial statements. So we've got the statement of financial position with everything involved, with the leases under FASB ASC 842, where you have operating leases and finance leases separated from property, plant, and equipment. And then you also have the operating lease payable shown, along with any long-term debt, if they have long-term debt on the books. Into the statement of activities. One of the things that we do for the charter school audit reports is we do have a statement of functional expenses where we break down between support and program services each of the functional expense categories. This is something that could be in the notes to the financial statements, but we choose to have it on the face of the financial statements. It's also something that we use to prepare the 990s, and so we just automatically do it because it's helpful for us later anyways. So it's something that helps with transparency on the audit reports, and we would want it later. It's a win-win, we feel. Followed by a statement of cash flows. And we do prepare the statement of cash flows in both an indirect and the direct method, where you'll notice the top is the direct method, and the net cash used for operating activities should tie to the very bottom number, which is the indirect method, where you see the reconciliation of change in net assets to cash right down here. And so we show both methods of that cash flow, just in case someone is more familiar with one over the other. Similar to a school district, we still have the notes to the financial statements, and there's still those same two sections where the first breaks down the different policies that the charter school operates under. And then the second part of this section will break down the different lines of the balance sheet into a more detailed look at what makes up those different items. And you'll notice the FASB pronouncements coming forward is a much longer list than the GASB one this year. Charter schools do not have the same required supplementary information that school districts do, so they just go straight into supplementary information that is very similar to the school districts. So we have the schedule of average daily attendance, followed by that same schedule of instructional time and financial trends and analysis. And the reconciliation of unaudited to the audited financial report. This is where you take the alternative form that charter schools fill out, where they report information to their authorizer and the county office, and you compare the final number that they turned in to the numbers that they provide to the auditor as those final numbers to see if they match up. Because sometimes charter schools will turn something in, but then maybe they aren't totally closed with their books, or they make some changes afterwards, and those will show up here. It doesn't mean that they did a terrible job. It might mean that they actually did a good job in terms of their internal control system actually did catch something. It's just that they turned in their numbers already and then went, oh man, we actually need to make this adjustment. And so they make the adjustment and then they give us their numbers. So if you ever do see things here, it doesn't mean necessarily that there was an audit adjustment or anything like that. It just means there was a difference between the alternative form and the audited financial statements. These are the notes to the supplementary information. It kind of breaks down why each schedule exists and what the purpose is. And then we have the other information similar to before, followed by the auditor's letters and the summary. So one of the things with Integrity this year that was a little bit different is that on their financial statements, they had about $758,000 of federal revenue, but they only had about $742,000 of federal expenditures. And so a lot of times when we're doing an audit, the revenues and expenditures for federal match each other. And so we'll take the federal revenue piece and just utilize that for whether or not an audit will be a uniform guidance audit, a single audit, if they have to do all the extra steps. And so we started the final audit for Integrity assuming that they were just over the threshold. But because it was so close, the audit manager, Alec Baker, I told him, hey, you need to get on the phone with Arena over at National, and you need to double check this number. And so when he talked with Arena, they were able to pinpoint that there were actually some expenditures that weren't hitting in 24-25. And so that final federal number was just under the threshold. So Integrity wasn't a single audit this year. And so the number of audit steps that we had to do drastically dropped in the final. And you'll notice we only have financial statements as an unmodified and state awards as an unmodified. So we didn't have to issue an opinion over those federal awards like we did in the school district. And you won't see that section here. And so sometimes it's really important to have that relationship with clients where you can see those numbers and then be able to call and say, hey, I need you to walk through this with me because it's real close and I don't want to mess this up. So we appreciate that, you know, we're able to call and talk with Arena about things like that, especially. And so we didn't have any audit findings on the report currently. Any questions?
Any questions? Do we have a motion? We have a motion to approve by Maria Bencourt Casaneves, second by Trustee Lopez. Please vote.
Aaron Palestino, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a lot of work you did. Thank you so much. Going down to 12D. Agenda item 12D, conduct a public hearing to enter into an energy services agreement with Plankton Energy LLC Exhibit E. The governing board will conduct a public hearing to receive community input on a proposed power purchase agreement PPA with Plankton Energy LLC for the installation of solar energy systems across the 11 district sites. The board will now hear comments from any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter. Do we have any public comments?
No.
None? As part of this hearing, we will make a brief statement. Dr. Crawford.
Thank you. So just as things have developed over the last few weeks, we received word from Luminace as a reminder that because of the change in federal law and some of the timelines that they weren't going to move forward with our projects and a number of other school district projects as well. However, we learned that there was another vendor who was interested in it. That vendor is Plankton Energy LLC. I've had the opportunity to conduct a reference check with some of the organizations that either know them or have done work with them. I was really happy to learn that the construction process was positive. It was not something that was concerning. In fact, the recommendations were as glowing as they could be from a construction standpoint. Also had the opportunity to meet with the CEO as well and learned that they are, a national corporation funded here in America with American funds. They're not reaching outside of the country for capitalization to bring these projects to us. They are interested in building these projects. They're interested in beginning immediately. They anticipate bringing projects to completion within 18 months. These are all similar things that we understood was the intentions of Luminace LC as well. I will say that I do think that because of the timeline with the federal funding and the Big Beautiful Bill and the expiration of energy credits, I have felt that this project, all in all, is just in general less certain because of the time frame, and especially with what happened with Luminace as well. I continue to feel that way. At the same time, this new vendor that's interested, they want to start immediately. They're very interested in picking up all of these projects and offering them at the same contract terms as Luminace. It's something that we have all already looked through as a district. Layouts not changing, right? All of that prior work that was done, they're essentially saying whatever was agreed to at that time, same contract, same layouts, same PPA rates, that they're ready to move forward with them. So the only thing else that would be worth mentioning is with the July 1 time frame, time is of the essence for us to move forward with them if we still choose to. So I think that's all the information that I can share. This resolution allows us to enter into an agreement with them from the standpoint of forming a contract. That contract would then be brought back to the board at the next meeting.
Trustee Gates? So what I heard you say was that the information that we had been provided already by Luminace, who is no longer extending contracts, that information is still usable.
Exactly. So, all of the PPA rates that were projected that provided that $18 million in savings for us over the term of the PPA, all of that stayed the same. So all of those rates stayed the same. That savings to us year over year would stay the same. Right.
They also did their own walkthrough, presented us with some ideas. Would we be using that information? Would Plankton be doing their own walkthrough with planning, all of that kind of thing?
So the work that has been done so far by the last vendor, you really can call pre-design work. When you're building, there is a design phase that involves ADA accessibility, architects, walks. All of that will happen, and it will happen with the new vendor as well, but it will happen upon entering into a contract with them.
This is my encouragement. So we're trying to buy tickets to South Africa. Random side item. 2 days ago, they were $2,300 a piece. Yesterday, they were $4,000 a piece. So on the one hand, my concern as I connect this is that the panic, the rush, the missing the opportunity, the being afraid of missing a window that could be. But this is my thought in response to it. I do not want us to panic and rush, being afraid of missing a window. I want to make sure that we do this properly with Plankton as we're moving forward and not skip the pieces. So I don't necessarily know how best to do both things at once, but I just want to encourage us to breathe deep and have the proper conversations about it, and not the scared conversations that we would miss the opportunity. So that's my thought.
Thank you. Trustee Maria Betancourt Castaneda?
Thank you. That I do have a concern is that we, don't wanna just jump the gun and just go to another company because we were really, comfortable with this other company that had glowing, references. And then we kind of got, sidelined. So, I know that you are getting glowing references. Are we gonna then get sidelined again? So, I just wanna ensure that we are doing the right thing at the right pace, but also doing what we are supposed to do in reference to, trying to have a cost saving for our district. That's one thing. But also, if this is the direction that we go in, we do already have some investment in this process. Will we be incorporating this fee in the contract? I know that we had a conversation about this.
Yes, good question. So it is incorporated into the contract through an article that talks about inspectors of records and reimbursement for expenses upfront. That being said, I do want to also take a moment to respond to what Trustee Gates said. It's very feasible and possible that the board may determine that they don't want to move forward at this time. I will be honest, I don't believe that this is our last solar opportunity. I do think it may take a change in administration at the federal level, but I also think that that will be likely at some point. This may just be a last opportunity in the current year, the current moment. I imagine that clean energy is something that will be will continue to be legislated very positively in the future. I think that we'll have future opportunities. The thought about the concern about moving quickly is legitimate. I think what I wanted to bring to the board was an option, right? And certainly we could continue to move forward or we could not. I will say a little bit differently from those airline tickets that we talked about. It would be nice contractually to have been guaranteed your earlier airline tickets, right? And that is part of what we get here is that these rates that the prior team has provided us are guaranteed contractually when we enter into an agreement with them. And so at that point, we're owed those rates, at that time. It's a little bit different than finding that a rate becomes variable at a later time. So I think those are just things for the board to consider. What we could certainly do is we could certainly pass this resolution tonight. And what that allows you to do is enter into a contract at the next board meeting, bring the contract forward at the next board meeting for additional discussion and consideration. That's one possibility. Also, if the board has, no interest in moving forward, of course, we could, we could have a majority no vote tonight. And like I said, I don't think this would be our last opportunity. I do think that the potential savings to the district, like you said, Trustee Bettencourt Castaneda, are part of the reason that we're still moving forward with trying to find an opportunity for this to work out for the district. Thank you.
Any other discussions?
Thank you. I'm not hesitant to move forward. I'm just hesitant to panic. I don't want to panic. I don't want to rush and feel that I'm being controlled by a time frame rather than by wise decision making. So I guess I'm asking for all due diligence from all of us so that should we move forward, we will have done it well, knowing that we have a shorter amount of time. If that makes sense. So not at all knocking the idea and not at all knocking the company, simply saying, let's not let panic drive us. Let's still do the right thing by by our district, so. Thank you.
Any other comments? This hearing is now closed. Thank you. Going on down to item 12E, adopt resolution 252642, including energy services agreement with Lincoln Energy LLC. Dr. Albert Cook.
Thank you. So just to reiterate, this resolution would allow us to move forward with negotiating an agreement with them. Of course, they've said that they will honor the original agreement that has been negotiated thus far. Over the next 2 weeks, we would do a little bit of additional work with it and bring it back to the board if this resolution is approved. At that time, of course, the board would be able to review the agreement and make a determination on whether to move forward or not.
Any discussion?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by trustee Gates and second by trustee Maria Benicourt Castaneda. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Going on down to item 12F, approve the American-Mexican proposal for CCTV camera work. Speaker, Mr. Robert Kaufman.
Thank you. So just a little bit of an update on where we are with our bond work. We're at the point that we're receiving school sites out of DSA with DSA approval. And so what that means is at this point, we're ready to begin preparing bid packages that we would bid out to contractors. A little bit about this particular item. There are a few professional services that in advance of putting out a bid package for a large amount of work, like these school projects will be, you want to include as much information as you can for the contractor that allows them to give an accurate bid price. When we don't include information, and we put out those bid packages, they'll bid a price, and at a later time, we'll learn that there were some unforeseen conditions, there were some additional factors that weren't included in the bid package, and typically at that point, contractors would request, an increase in price for the work to be performed. So this cameraing of pipes, we do have a number of bathrooms that are included in these accessibility upgrades. And so the work that's going to be done on this agreement at all 10 school sites is to go into areas where we are completing specific work and camera for conditions so that we know what the conditions of all of these different bathrooms and pipes are, right? And then we'll include all of that information in those bid documents so that when contractors bid on them, they have all of that information. There's not maybe perhaps deteriorating pipes that then sink into the ground for which we're being billed extra. Our pricing benefit happens when the competitive bidding happens. It's not after when we already have selected a contractor. So this particular item is really about gaining information to put into the bid package to encompass that within these bids so that we reduce the unforeseen conditions later.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Maria Benicourt Castaneda,
Second with discussion.
second by Cindy Lopez. Michelle Gates, excuse me. And discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Cochran. When will this be taking place? Is this during school hours, summer? Can you explain?
Yes, thanks. So we're really targeting summer for this, this camera work to take place. It is possible for us to close a restroom and do it either before school or after school or closing the restroom during school, but we were targeting summer for this work to happen.
Do you know approximately the duration of when this vendor would be on site and for how long? Well, or could you provide that?
Yeah, absolutely. So The vendor being on site to conduct cammering at all 10 sites, it would take a number of days, probably 4 or so days to get around to every place that we're doing replacement and then camera the lines. And sometimes sometimes they find something that leads to additional cammering. 4 or so days for our number of sites is typical.
Trustee Gates, please.
And to piggyback on Trustee Lopez, so I know we have to keep a ratio of available bathrooms to people. So will they be working at school sites that have students at them at the time? Or are we looking for spaces where students are not around? Because they're bathrooms. And so we don't want there to be confusion on adult people entering our bathrooms when we have children on the premises who could be using them. We want to make sure that things are, and I know that we would already be talking about how to block and spaces off and things like that, but will it be when students are at sites, or can we avoid that?
So no, it's a very legitimate question, and we're going to maximize times when students aren't on campus. But there is absolutely some feasibility that students could be on campus at times that the camera work would take place. But our project manager would work with the whether that's site administration, reach or intercession, whomever that person in charge would be on campus, to have the area just completely closed off during the time that they're there.
And just to say it is for clarification, we are talking about basically snaking our plumbing with a camera to determine whether or not those pipes are in good working order or need replaced. Cameras would then be removed from those pipes, which is all they're looking at, and taken off the ground. When you start talking about cameras in bathrooms, people get nervous too. So being very, very clear, we are talking about snaking the plumbing to make sure the plumbing is working.
That's a perfect description. These little cameras are on the end of a very long snake that goes all the way in and out of the drain. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
Do you have a motion in a second?
We have, okay. Please vote.
And passes unanimously.
Going down to 13A, item 13A. At the April 8th, 2026 board meeting, the board accepted a set of policy updates for the first reading as part of the district's ongoing partnership with the California School Board Association. Online policy service, which helps ensure our policies remain aligned with the current laws and regulations. District staff, including the executive cabinet, carefully reviewed each recommended update and customized them to ensure alignment with the National School District practices. The majority of the revisions reflect changes in law and regulation rather than changes in district practice. Since the first reading, the board and the public have had the opportunity to review the proposed updates, and any questions should be directed to staff. Were there any questions received? There is no action required this evening. Were there any questions received? Were there any questions received? No. There is no action required this evening. However, this workshop is provided as an opportunity for any final discussions or clarification before these policies are brought back to a future meeting for adoption. Is there any final discussion? No? Yes, Dr. Brady.
So generally, the policies are very straightforward and driven by legal updates and law. But there were a couple of things that I wanted just to point out on that sheet, just to make sure that they aren't missed, because they're a little bit bigger. And one decision that I had to make for the board. I want to make sure that the board agrees with it. So the first was for exhibit on 0420.41 charter school oversight. As you know, we're catching up on some of our policies. This exhibit is an example. It's not it's related to the policy, but the policy drives how we respond, and then our administrative regulation is how we act. The exhibit is like an example of what it could look like. It's not required. The last update that CSBA will do is for June 1st, 2025. So it's very possible that the exhibit will continue to get further and further out of date because charter school law is changing a lot. So my recommendation is to delete this from our board policy, and then we would just be driven by our policy or administrative regulation, and we would use any legal counsel for any particular updates on that. So I think to be safe, deleting it, since it's not necessary, will keep you current, so it doesn't get out of date. That's why that's on there. There were two, one for the district technology plan, board policy, and one for artificial intelligence. The district technology plan does include clauses on AI, and we are planning to do our task force on May 28th. So we wanted to hold those policies and bring them separate, also to give the board an opportunity to have some discussion. So it's the first time AI will be entering our policies. So that's why you see hold for AI task force on that, just to be very transparent. On AR 1114, which is district-sponsored social media, there's now a new requirement for school districts to, if you're going to have a social media account that is representative of the district, for example, National School District, or a principal at or Pomeroy Elementary or something like that, the website needs to be registered as a verified reporter. You know, the blue checks you see? And we did some preliminary research on that, and that could run up to $45 a month for business services or the business level, which if we had one for each of our 10 schools, plus one for the district office that we could share and monitor, that would be about $6,000 a year for only one social media platform. So maybe for Instagram or for Facebook or X, whichever we determine. So, and this is so that we can, there's a report for online threats and violations that could seriously harm students, which would keep the superintendent informed if they're that verified check mark. So this is required in the board policy, and we want you to know we'll be looking into what that means for our social media practices, and we will be adjusting accordingly, but we may have to pare back. It does not apply to board member social media accounts, nor does it apply to individual people who may reference the district in their personal social media accounts. But if it is a district-sponsored social media account, that is something we're going to have to work through and figure out what the best course of action and the best platform would be, and then make sure our parents and our staff are aware of that as well. And then I think I had one more. Up and down in our board bylaws. Sorry. For 9250 remuneration, reimbursement, and other benefits, there are two exhibits. These are how the board member compensation is set, our monthly amounts. We have never had an exhibit. There are samples, but again, it doesn't necessarily match our district practice. So those are not being recommended to add, even though CSBA has provided it. we can still use them, but they don't need to be part of our board bylaws. So I just want to make sure you knew that we chose not to add those, even though they were an option. And then the final one I wanted to bring was board bylaw 9323, meeting conduct. We are now being required to put what rules we are using to conduct our meetings. For example, Robert's Rules of Order, which is very similar to how we run our meetings. There are some nuances that continuously change and update, and this is very intensive. So I would put in the update that we would be using Robert's Rules of Order, but I would recommend that we look at this and some of the nuances and make sure that we are making our motions correctly, that we are, when we want to make a point, that we make those with those correct terminology, since now we need to state it in our board bylaw. We've talked in the past about using Rosenberg's Rules of Orders, which is significantly, I think it's 3 pages compared to this book. That's really hard to memorize. But again, because we're most closely aligned with Robert's Rules of Order, to start there, maybe hold a board workshop on Rosenberg's if you want, and then once you feel confident in switching over, then change this board bylaw to match your new result. But since we're making that update now and need to put it in, I did choose Robert's Rules of Order, wanted to make sure you knew why. Happy to answer any questions.
Clerk Castaneda?
Thank you. I know we've had this discussion, as you just mentioned, Dr. Brady, and we did have, we started speaking about having a workshop. So I would recommend the board that we do have a workshop as it relates to Robert's Rules of Order, if that's what we choose to have as part of our board policy.
Would the board like to relearn Robert's Rules of Order or explore Rosenberg's, maybe look at both of them and decide in the workshop and then bring that forward and then potentially change the bylaw? How would you like to proceed?
Any questions? Trustee Hayes?
I want us to have something that we all honor, but I also want it to be something that is as friendly as possible, because when you get elected to the board, you often have never Robert's Rules anything before, depending on what you're in, depending on what your different roles are, and so I would like the opportunity to take a look at both, because though we are more accustomed to some of the back history with Robert's Rules, if Rosenberg makes more sense and is more straightforward for anyone, and including people who come, for them to understand what we're doing, I would like that opportunity too. So yes, I would like the opportunity. Personally, I would like the opportunity to look at both.
I think that it would make more sense for us to have a comparison, like a cheat sheet of how we run a board meeting, and have a cheat sheet of how it would look at our board meeting. Because showing us that book, it's very intimidating. But if you show us a cheat sheet of how it would look up here on the dais of both, it would make more sense of how we, or what direction we would go in, and then make a determination that way.
Well, even the pattern of discussion, the fact that we need to open up the top and make the motion, have it on the floor first before we have discussion. Like, not everybody knows that is required. And even the component of, if we decide not to make a motion, some people, that is confusing for many people too. Why aren't they going to discuss it? Well, if we choose not to make a motion, we don't even want to talk about it, so, but there are times also that we make a motion so that we can talk about it not necessarily because we're like, woohoo, let's do that, but because it's important that the discussion is had. But all of those components are behind the rules, not necessarily clear. If you are in the meeting, or even sometimes with us, we're sitting here, well, why did I want to make that motion? Well, because I wanted the discussion. So I do feel it's an important process to go through.
Any other questions or concerns? This has to be put on the agenda, isn't it, before we make a motion on that?
Well, this is just a discussion of what's going to go into the board bylaw for now. And then it sounds like the board is interested in having a special study session on rules of order and to look at a cheat sheet version of each one, make sure you understand what each involve. And then from there, we'll either keep Robert's Rules of Order or train and make a change to Rosenberg's at that time.
Cindy?
Thank you. I think I also want to point out that it is our responsibility as board members to know the rules prior. So if those could be emailed to us, because we have seen it, we have been in various meetings. So, I mean, I've seen both. It really is just a change of language. The system is still the same. So I think I would like those emailed to us prior to having a board workshop. I would not like to spend more than an hour going over which one to choose if we already know how to use Robert's Rules of Order coming into this position. And also knowing that they are using a motion or a rules of order is part of the legality of this work. So I think also understanding that we do have to know these procedures so that we can conduct business. But I do agree that maybe the public is not aware of all these things that we are saying, this legal jargon. So it would be nice for also them to know what those are.
Who would be giving us this workshop? CSBA or who's going to be coming down to do this? Because they're both different books. There's the one person that does one book and the other person comes back and then we discuss it, or do we do it both together? How does that work?
Sounds like the board would like to look at some documents first, and then we'll bring it back for another discussion to see how to proceed. I do know that there are certain entities that, like your legal counsel, will do Robert's Rules of Order. We were unable to find anybody that would train on Rosenberg's Rules of Order, so we would have to probably revisit that and see if there's anybody now, or dig in and figure it out and then train ourselves. Self-guided.
We should definitely have a workshop. We have to find out who's going to come and give each workshop on his book. I know when you go to the, you become a board member, you go to this big meeting and they kind of tell you about the rules and orders and stuff. Any discussion? Thank you. Okay. Okay. We will now have board communication. Okay. The district will continue bringing forward policy updates at upcoming meetings as part of our ongoing effort to ensure all board policies remain current and up to date. Current National School District policies are available on the district website at NSD Policies. Thank you. We will now go on to board cabinet communications.
All right.
Trustee Gates.
So 3 quick, I hope. Congratulations to our new principals, Principal Chacto at Palmer Way, Principal Benitez at Las Palmas. We are looking forward to what you get to do and the way you get to help shape those 2 places. Want to thank CSE President Olea. Thank you for your presence tonight. It's good to have you here. And last, we really blew by the May appreciation, like Employee Appreciation Month. And I feel like we on the one hand, I feel like we should spend more time with the employee appreciation part. But at the same time, it's so much of an absolutely of course we should be doing that the vote itself is easy. So I'm going to stop for a moment and say, yes, we're looking for that in May, but to all of our employees, whether you are working an hour a day, whether you are working 12 hours a day, you're not supposed to do that, go home. But regardless of the time that you put in, we are thankful for the heart and effort that you put into each student who you cross, even if you are the night custodian who never sees a student. We know that it is what drives you, and they are who drive you. And so thank you for all of you and everything that you do. And the May Employee Appreciation Month is, like I said, absolutely of course. So thank you.
Okay, it's my turn. I just want to echo the sentiments. Congratulations to our new principals. Welcome home to your new school site. So wonderful to see how you are going back to a site that is really near and dear to you. I'm very excited to see the work that you're going to do and just the love that you're going to pour out to your students' families. And again, thank you to the 4th and 5th grade Hawks for presenting. Thank you for showing how your confidence grew and how you were also reflective and sharing your goals with your families. And I also want to say congrats again to Mrs. Jennifer Arellano. Thank you for everything that you do at Ira Roberson. And also want to invite families and parents and everyone, staff, to the next LCAP next Wednesday. We want to hear from you. And if you're unable to make it, please send us information regarding what you'd like to see for the LCAP for next year.
You threw me off looking in that direction. Thank you. I would like to also congratulate Ms. Jeanette Cacto and also Angelica Benitez on their new role as principal. I am delighted to be able to see them move up in our district, and also being that this is the only district that they have been in and the number of years of service. It is amazing. Many of our staff have just never want to leave, and it's just amazing, and that just shows that that the work here is just, and the family that we have here is just amazing. So congratulations again, and it just brought tears to my eyes. I think Jackie and I locked eyes, and we were just like, oh. So it's just, again, I'm very proud of them. Congratulations to our Ira Roberson students at 4th grade presentation. It's just amazing on the work that's being done at our school sites, and just the outside of the box thinking of our teachers. It's just awesome, the work that's being done. And congratulations to Jennifer Arellano of her NSYNC Volunteer of the Year, I would say, for Ira Roberson. And I know that it's a lot of dedication being had at the school sites. It's oftentimes a very thankless work, but I, from the bottom of my heart, thank you and your family for the work that's being done at the school site. And Kevin for the audit report presentation. Oftentimes, audit work is so boring when you get a presentation, but he makes it so lively, and it's just, he cracks the jokes here and there, and it's always so fun to have him here and have him present to us. Thank you, Jackie, for being here. We actually have someone to talk to or to
My pleasure.
actually have in the audience. Thank you. And like Ms. Gates said earlier, I know we skipped right over our staff appreciation item, but yes, very much appreciate our staff, and I look forward to celebrating them. I wanted to say really quick. I know I have a lot to say, but I'm going to try to condense it. I had an opportunity to attend Miss Benson's Earth Day event at the Creek this morning, and to see her students in action. She had a bunch of mini Miss Bensons running around and teaching the students from Kemple. And it was a very, very organized, very, it was just an amazing thing to see. And it was mentioned that it would be nice that all of our students at all the school sites have an opportunity to participate. And maybe it could be something that an after-school program can take advantage of. But nonetheless, I would like to say April, one of her students, she's going to be a teacher one of these days. She had 3 students that were not on task. And she got them really quick. Excuse me, you 3, I need you guys on task. And she got them to pay attention like really quick. So you can tell she has leadership. She was able to get them all back on track, but very respectful, very got very responsive of the students, and it was just an amazing thing. And I said, wow, they were very much responsive to her. So I said, wow, that was very, it was natural to her. So wanted to mention that. Wanted to also say that I had an opportunity during my the delegate meeting on Monday. We were visited the Linda Vista Innovation Center that our students also have an opportunity to benefit from. And unfortunately, there was no students present, which I hear that we missed out on. And Matt Tessier, all we kept saying, I wish there were students here. I wish there were students here. And he is so fired up about that program. But our 3rd graders attend is what he kept mentioning, and he kept mentioning national. And I was just like, yes, students get to come. But that program there is amazing, the CTE programs. And he kept mentioning how important it is that the young students get engaged and get introduced to programs at such a young age. And he mentioned, and I wrote this down because I know that sometimes people don't believe that you students at such a young age get introduced or get surrounded by programs of this magnitude. But he said studies show as young as 3 years old should be introduced with programs outside of just college programs. College, to be college ready, but outside of just GCT programs. And I wanted to say that because I'm so glad that our students, National School District, is part of this program. And so if we can get our younger kids, not just 3rd grade, younger kids to be able to be involved, that would be ideal. So hint, I'm just saying. But there was a lot of good things happening there, and they have the firefighting program. I know that you guys had an opportunity to visit, so that was something. And again, we were the envy of the group, I have to say, National School District, because I think we were the only within the group. National School District was the only one that had been participating within our group that was there. I know you were not able to attend, but I think you might hear about it. So you can just tell them it's okay. It was our meeting day. So anyways, let's see what else. our Green Ribbon School Award, I have to say thank you to the entire staff that did an amazing job. Jocelyn and Vanessa, I know you had both hands, not just a hand, both hands involved in our entire M&O department. I think everybody and just our entire national school district. If you had an opportunity to attend, you saw how beautiful our campus was. Everything was so amazing. So I have to say thank you so much. There was nothing but nice things that was said. I could hear people chattering about how nice, how everything was so well organized. I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart how amazing everything was. So you guys are amazing, all the hard work. So I appreciate it. And I know that I'll be presenting soon on Coast to Coast. So that will be at a later time. I just want to say thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Dr. Cochran.
Thank you. I wanted to first say, because it is on the day, happy administrative professionals to all of our administrative professionals out there. We couldn't do it without you. We appreciate you so much. Also want to thank Ira Harbison for their presentation today. It was great to hear the students talk about their student-led conferences. I also wanted to thank specifically our facilities team, our custodial team, our site staff at Palmer Way, many of our administrative assistants who were out there supporting on the day. It was really an amazing ceremony, the Green Achiever program, and just heard people from all across the state of California remarking on what an amazing experience it was and how fired up and energized they were from listening to all of our amazing Palmer Way students talk about all the way that they experience that sustainability across their campus. I do want to mention to Trustee Gates and Trustee Lopez that we have not forgotten about the requests related to Radies or the discussion on the bond. Just expect that to be upcoming in a future board meeting. I want to share some really great news that we are going to be receiving at long last a check for the flood recovery work that was done back in January of 2024. Like I said, at long last, but it should be over $1 million, which will definitely support our financial position. And I believe that's it for me at this time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Dr. Kepin.
I too want to say happy Administrative Professionals Day. We had a nice time celebrating our admin assistants today. So thank you for everything that you do. Congratulations to Ms. Angelica Benitez and Ms. Jeanette Colada-Tacto. There was a real sentiment in the interview process of how proud they were with the internal candidates that we had, and this pride of having candidates who grew up here, went to school here, and have taken on different positions within the district and now are ready to lead our schools. So that was great. Thank you to Ira Harbison students for presenting today, and congratulations to Ms. Arellano. Today, our HR staff attended a job fair at Southwestern College through the National City Chamber of Commerce. We are looking for substitute everything, substitute custodians, admin assistants, clerical, transportation, student attendance, custodial. But, we opened up those vacancies specifically for this job fair on Edgewood. And then just wanted to also echo what Dr. Cochran said about the Green Ribbon Awards. Not only were the student leaders impressive, the students there were very impressive too, because we had a whole event going on with these visitors and the students knew what to do and they were cooperative. I know their routine changed that day and they were very, very well behaved. So congratulations, Palmer Way students. And then finally, just a reminder to the board that we have the colloquium on Tuesday for induction, new teachers from 4 p.m. I don't know when it'll end. This will be the opportunity for our teachers from National School District as well as Integrity to showcase their work and their some of the things they've been working on in the last 1 or 2 years. And that will be at Olivewood School in the multipurpose room. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Delia.
Thank you. Yes. Again, I want to echo the congratulations to Principal Benitez and Principal Tecto. We're so excited to have them join the ranks and really just excited and ready and willing to help support in any way that we can. I would also like to give a shout out to the Ira Harbison team, specifically teacher Angie Toscano. She has been a member of our guiding coalition, where we have been having discussions as a team around how we are really trying to ensure that we're offering engaging learning experiences for our students and really trying to relook at how what our practice looks like. And so one of those ideas is around student-led conferences and the idea of ensuring that our kids really own their learning and are able to share and celebrate. And I think we saw that tonight as those kiddos were proud of themselves as they were sharing the information with their parents. So we're shout out to her. That was a wonderful presentation. And then additionally, I would just say today we were able to have our meeting with the NCETA leadership where it's an opportunity for them to provide feedback into the LCAP development process. And so just thanking them for their participation, had really great conversations that even kind of extended beyond LCAP input, and just really looking forward to collaborating with them as we continue to partner with them as we are providing the best services we can for our students. So looking forward to that continued work with NCETA. We did a similar process with CSEA a while back, and so we're just excited to see all of that come together. Thank you.
Dr. Brady.
Okay, well, on that note, I'll remind the board that next Wednesday, April 29th, is our LCAP meeting. We have a special board meeting at Rancho de la Nacion starting at 4 p.m. And we'll be looking at all of the input, all of the data updates, and what that means for year 3 of our 3-year LCAP. I do want to say, because it is the day, Happy Administrative Professionals Day to Jocelyn and Vanessa, specifically for everything that you have done for me this year, but also for the past 10 years. You guys have been really amazing partners, and there's nothing too small of an idea or too big of an idea for you that you will just roll up your sleeves and do anything, as evidenced by today. Happy Earth Day. These two lovely ladies really led the show with 200 students from 6 different school districts across San Diego, a collaboration of our student roundtable around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and just the planning and care for every name tag, every color. Everybody was on a list to the lunch that was provided. And by the way, lunch was catered fully, so nothing charged to the district. Just an amazing amount of work that goes in behind the scenes, and you do it with a smile, as do all of our administrative professionals across the district. And just want you all to know how valuable you are to us, to me. Speaking of those wonderful kids at Plummer Way that did the tour, we had sent out a couple press releases for that, and today we have been contacted by PBS. They're going to do a special. They've asked for some footage and some interviews and Zooms and some photos, so we're looking forward to seeing how that comes together. And today CBS 8 showed up and shadowed one of our amazing students, Andre Enriquez from Central, and he did such a great job articulating what it is that we're doing around climate action and how kids can elevate their voice to change the world. And so that's slated to come out on May 11th, but they've also asked for some additional footage of the students because they weren't able to get enough of it at Palmer Way, so they're going to combine those two and really spotlight the work that our students are leading around global sustainability. So we're excited when those come out. We'll make sure you get links to those and we can celebrate those. Speaking of how amazing our students are, don't forget that in the next week or so, you'll be getting all of the student book story winners from each of our 10 elementaries. We ask that you read them and vote for your top 3. There will be no names and no schools. We've had multiple winners from the same school in the past. And we'll announce that winner at the May 20th awards ceremony, where we'll be celebrating our staff during Staff Appreciation Month, not just a week, a month. Everybody look here, this is what we'll be handing out from the board and executive cabinet. Proud hat to wear going into the summer, so when you're not with us in the summer, you can be still representing National School District. And with that, I just want to say happy Staff Appreciation Month. We look forward to also sending out some cake and seeing all the different celebrations that will be happening throughout the entire month. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your nice comments. I also want to add, I think it's always great when we have one of our students say the Pledge of Allegiance, Christy Mujica. You know, that takes a lot of courage, a little girl like herself, to come in a room full of adults to say the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm really happy about that. And of course, I did tell everyone that everybody that was here to receive awards, our new students, and of course our new principals that we voted unanimously on. They certainly deserve it for being in our district for over 20 years. I mean, like they were born here almost, right? And they have that great passion. That shows passion of what they're doing to become a principal. You know, they work themselves up, and I think that's wonderful. You know, you start as a volunteer or you start as a parent here and you go on up to be principal. I think it's great. Like I said, I do want to say thank you to our new employees that have chose to be here. And I think that's great because we are a great school. So I'm glad that they came. I also was able to attend the Earth Day today. And as I walked around and I spoke to the parents, and I walked to this booth there, and this little girl had her little hands there, no gloves on. And she goes, I said, what are those things? She goes, oh, they're worms. I said, worms? What the heck? What do you have worms in your hands for, you know? And then she said, they're pooping in my hands. I said, what? Let's get some sanitizer. I was like, I've never seen worms poop. And especially children's hands, but you know, and then of course this lesson came over. Goes, that's okay. Dogs poop, cats poop, we all poop. Oh, no, what? You're not gonna clean our hands? But they were able to pick it up, but I learned something today. You know, watching these children be able to steer it and take out all these things that's not supposed to be there, and the parents and grandparents that were there were really great. I also was able to attend Coast to Coast. It took me a while to get there because I am a delegate to LULAC. I have been for several years and a member of LULAC. So I went to the LULAC convention first in Monterey. I flew down there to Monterey. And then after the convention, after 3 days, I flew to Seattle, which was quite a ride. And then from Seattle, I went to Washington, D.C., which is a 6-hour flight. And our meeting started, well, they wanted me to be there at 7:30 to have breakfast and coffee. But I got there in time to check in around 6:30, 6:45, and I went straight to the meeting, and it was a great experience at Coast to Coast, and I feel honored that I have been there before, and it's really great. So I guess at our next meeting we will discuss what we learned, and I learned a lot, and I'm really glad that I was able to attend, and thank you for making it happen. So I'm really happy about that. And I could go on, but I think I'll end the meeting at 8:23. Meeting's now over. Thank you.
Nobody